You play Mridanga? No? No, you can't. It's all right. I can, but I can't do cartels and Mridangans. Like cartels. You give me the Mridanga, I can beat on it a little. Okay, can't find a seat, let me know. That was a joke. I couldn't hear. I said, if you can't find a seat, just let it know. Yeah. Sign them all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto, Chapter 6, Text number 9.
You have your chair. Want to go to?
Fifth Canto,
6. Else. Lewis.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Verse like
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So this is the activities of Lord Rshabhadeva, chapter 9 of the Candramauli, this chapter. So this is the prose, and generally we chant the word for word. Yasya
Yasya
Ahum Rshabde
Ahum
Kila Anucharitam Pathams and the Parvahas
Vas
above all regulating one principle. Upakanya Here Tomkave Daguntaranam Konka Venka and Kutak Raja
Raja
the king
King
Mahatma whose name was Mohan,
whose name was
not known as the Jain. Upasiksya,
Vasishes,
imitating the activities of Lord Rshabhadeva
during that exists as man of Rshabhadeva.
and his Paramahansa feature.
Svaram Samfikshan.
Kalo,
Kalam,
in this age of Kali,
this is of Chari.
Adharme Uskrisyamane, because of increasing religious life,
God of increase of religions.
Bhavika Vyena, by that which was about to happen.
By that which was your Lord.
Vimohita, bewildered. Swadharma Bhatam, the path of religion. Akuta Ayam, which is free from all kinds of evil intention. Apahaya, giving up, such as practices, cleanliness, truthfulness, control of the senses and mind, simplicity, the principles of religion, and practical application of knowledge. Kupada Karpa Kupada Pankadam, the wrong path of atheism, and some improper against the Vedic literature. Nijamanasaya, by his own frontal brain. Manda, most foolish. Sampravartayusite. I'm sorry, we'll introduce translation. Sukadeva Goswami continues speaking to Maharaj. My dear king, the king of Konga, Venka, and Kutaka, whose name was Marpa, heard of the activities of Rshabhadeva, and imitating Rshabhadeva's principles, introduced a new system of religion. Taking advantage of Kali Yuga, the age of sinful activity, King Arhat, being bewildered, gave up the Vedic principles, which are free from risk, and concocted a new system of religion opposed to the Vedas. This was the beginning of the Jain Dharma. Many other so-called religions followed this atheistic system. Srila Prabhupada's point. When Lord Sri Krishna was present on the planet, a person named Ondraka imitated the four-headed bride and declared himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He desired to compete with Krishna. Similarly, during the time of Lord Rshabhadeva, the king of Konka and Venkat acted like a Paramahansa and imitated Lord Rshabhadeva. He introduced a system of religion and took advantage of the fallen condition of the people of the age of Kali. It is said in the Vedic literatures that people in this age will be more inclined to accept anyone as the supreme lord and accept any religious system opposed to Vedic principles. The people of this age are described as mandas mandamataya. Generally, they have no spiritual culture, and therefore they are very fallen. Due to this, they will accept any religious system. Due to this misfortune, they forget the Vedic principles. Following non-Vedic principles in this age, they think themselves the Supreme Lord and thus spread the cult of atheism all over. Jnanam-timirandasya jnanam-salakaya chaksunamilitam tasmai shri Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Staya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namade Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gaura Bhakti Nim Sunyavadi Vasyapya Vestarne Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Hare Krishna Hare Rama Manna Sumanda Mateo Mangi Bhagavata Kala a fellow Askiri Janine Manna Sumanda Mateo Mangi Bhagavata. So this verse describes from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam what the characteristics of people in this age of Kali. That is slow, very difficult to understand religious principles, lazy, misguided, talking, so always disturbed. Now, this is the characteristics of this age. I mean, this is the age of color. This is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. As there are four ages of the human society, each age has certain characteristics, quality based on the environment and the quality of the living entities in that age. So this is considered to be the darkness of the ages. And because of that, people are misdirected according to what is the actual real goal of life. Therefore, they will accept anything that sounds like it will also deliver some form of material satisfaction as material happiness. That is a feature of this age. But we are not interested in there's no other scars. Some scars are the different principles of life by which the living entity traverses from one stage to another. And they are called purificatory processes. Just like before the child is born, preparing for the birth of the child, we gargle, which is it actually is only the second steps. There's one before that that prepares for the process of marriage and vivaham samskara. And all of these samskaras are meant to bring about an awakening of transcendental, practical, spiritual understanding, knowledge. But because has been thrown out at this stage, people are really not trained in any way, even from the time of birth. Therefore, even bringing people into the world, there is no rules, regulations, or restrictions. Everything is done according to whatever people want to do, they really want to do it. And because they're not guided by leaders, the leaders are of the same characteristics, people that they're trying to lead. Nobody really follows any system that is actually bona fide. In other words, the Vedas are very difficult for people to understand, and you have to have people who are actually qualified to understand the Vedas, teach the Vedas, and also teach others. I also live according to the Vedic principles. And because that is not found so much in Kali Yuga, everything was topsy-turvy. So here we find that there is always someone wants to imitate someone who appears to be um, different, or just like Rshabhadeva. Rshabhadeva is a manifestation. I mean, it's actually an incarnation. It's a great word. And he was acting like a man towards the end of his life. He was putting stones in his mouth and passing stool and urine, falling in it. He had a reason for doing that because just to discourage the non-devotees, um, because God doesn't really try to convince people by miracles. People have to be convinced by the process of worship, delineated by Krishna or by the Supreme Lord, and by those who are actually practicing, in other words, devotees. And so to keep the atheists, he acted in such a way. And of course, he's the supreme personality of God, and he's above regulations and whatever. But as it says, yet ever change that whatever great men do follow, come and follow in his footsteps. So you might say, people might even accuse those who are situated now, might accuse shopping for establishing a personal religion based on his personal activities. But just like when Krishna left the planet, what happened? He got shot in the foot with an arrow by a hunter, and therefore he appeared to have died like an ordinary human being. Of course, not even getting shot in the foot with an arrow kills a person. But people, well, thinking, oh yes, therefore he's just like us, or maybe a little bit better. So in order to keep as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Jahamriti Sani Vistavattat Smriti Jnana. You want knowledge? I can show you how to find knowledge. I can give you that. I can give you the means by which you can understand. You want forgetfulness? I also help you in that way. You want remembrance? That's also the Krishna is the foundation by which people learn everything simply based on some and then their contact with the external energy or their contact with the spiritual energy. Everything coming from Krishna. But Krishna cannot be blamed for a religion because he is simply establishing a process by which people can continue their wishes and can claim to be, in other words, incarnations of God. You see here is this King Mara. He was, he saw Rshabhadeva and he wanted to imitate Rshabhadeva. And therefore he acted like he was, doing the same thing that Rshabhadeva did. Acting as an Avaduta, following all rules, following no regulations, and established a principle of religion. So this is the feature of the age of Kali, because in the age of Kali, everything goes on. There is no set standard. Therefore, one has to understand things from those who are actually qualified. And by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this age, we get the understanding what is real religious principles. Because without worshiping the Supreme Personality of God in devotion, everything is either semi-religious principles or material principles going on in the religious principles. There are two main deviations in real religion. One is mentioned here, that the living entity, by practicing a particular process of elevation, thinks themselves equal to the Supreme Personality of God. It's like it is a class of people, they call themselves Mayavadis. Well, we call them Mayavadis. In other words, they propagate the principle of illusion. That illusion is simply a feature of the living entity's existence in this world. Once illusion is is dispelled through the process of steadily uh, practicing various types, studying the Vedas, practicing various types of rituals, yajnas, then one can actually come back to the real position as being God. Prabhupada said there's so many gods. When Prabhupada was here, he said every day another god from India is coming into the West. The people in the West don't even know what is real religious principles. Therefore, someone has some magic, you can do some goal by just reaching into the air, coming out or something. Well, he must be God. Only God could do that. But people, because people are not educated, maybe they accept anyone who is a little bit above the norm as being great, maybe even as worse. And people take advantage of that. I remember when we were traveling to preaching in the United States many years ago. There was this one personality. He was quite popular. He had come from India. He had 32 Rolls Royces. He had a large entourage of people who were quite wealthy. Wealthy people coming in, they served everything to them. And he was teaching this type of yoga that through sexual interaction, one can reach the highest form of spiritual bliss. That were their followers practicing that. And they were calling themselves sannyasis and sannyasinis. And they were engaging in sexual activity, and that is considered to be the ultimate principle of happiness. And then he gives them a few rules and regulations that they follow. So that's, I mean, even today that still goes on. The originator of the group is no longer on the planet. But I remember when we were traveling, I had gotten the daily newspaper, it's USA Today. And on the front page of the newspaper, his picture was there, along with the article describing what he had said in the evening before. I think it was Rshabhadeva. And they took one quote from the day, and he said that the great illusion to mankind is the idea of God. He said the greatest, I have, the greatest illusion to mankind is the idea of God. So I remember reading that and I was quite disturbed by that. But this goes on and people think, oh, he's giving us more information about what is the reality of life. Because if you just rule out the concept of God, you create yourself as your own God, then you can make your own rules and regulations. You don't have to follow anything. That's the feature of the age of Kali. The main feature of the age of Kali is reject authority. Yeah, become your own authority or choose who you want to become with your authority. You can follow anyone who you think is something that you want to follow. Then you never you create your own authority. So Kali is very, uh, what we say, insidious and very cunning. He doesn't say reject all authority. He says become your own authority or choose your own authority. And that way he becomes the authority. People follow him. So whatever the propaganda is of the current times in the society becomes the means by which people follow. And therefore, nobody has any direction because people are always choosing, rejecting, choosing, rejecting. Um, and that's why when Srila Prabhupada came, he said, after some time, after establishing his movement a little bit, he said, in order to practice spiritual life, you have to chant so many names of God, and you have to restrict yourself. It's four principles. No illicit sex, and we explain what that meant. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication. And I was listening just about a couple of weeks ago. Prabhupada was discussing one young man who came to him at the beginning, and he challenged Prabhupada on these things. And then, of course, Prabhupada remained strong. He was coming from that background of, loose activities. And then he left, and later on he met one devotee who was still, he told that devotee, he said, Swamiji will never be successful. He's denying the basic principles of life. That was his, that was his conclusion after practicing Krishna consciousness for at least 2 years. And just, these activities that Swamiji is restricting is just not for everyone. And if you do that, you'll get no followers. So Prabhupada said, I'm not trying to get many followers, I'm trying to create at least one moon. Give me one moon and I can bright up the whole sky. What's the use of all these twinkling stars? But of course, Prabhupada was merciful and inviting everyone to come and practice Krishna consciousness. But because of the age of Kali, people find it difficult to follow these four regulative principles. And Prabhupada said, if you can chant 16 rounds and follow these four regulative principles, by the time you accept initiation, by the time you leave the body, you're qualified to return to the spiritual world. That's our foundation. It's a real challenge in the ancient Kali. Everyone is trying to find ways to get around those principles or to create some subdivisions of principles that are substitutes for these. Because it seems to be too difficult. But the difficulty is the quality of our devotion to service. In other words, if one is chanting nicely 60 rounds every day, following the regular principles becomes easy. It's based on the quality of our japa, and of course, our association along with it. But then one receives the mercy and the strength to, withstand the attractions of mind. Getting distracted in this age is very easy because there is so many ways that mind is creating to get distracted. But that even great devotees get distracted, but they don't become attracted. They don't become attracted to the distractions that they come. They just see it as just a botheration, it's distractions like that. Like I was traveling, playing this 2 days ago. There was so many distractions. You're just trying to, sit in the seat and just get to go where you're supposed to go. There's so many things going on in the airplane. People are playing the airplane. Stewardesses running up and down. It's just like, always asking if you want something when you don't really want it. So, this is the age of distraction. But if you get attracted to these distractions, if there's something that appears to be very interesting, then you move your way, your consciousness away from proper understanding. Oh, devotees, if they remain fixed and chanting their 16 rounds, and Prabhupada wrote 16 good rounds. He didn't just say 16 rounds. He wrote one letter to one very senior who was the company president. He said 16 good rounds. That's just 16 rounds. So we have to try to acquiesce or bring about that quality in our chanting. And then that will give us the strength to follow the principles. And if we remain fit in following Hare Krishna, Then Krishna consciousness is so nice. So nice. The other deviation that speaks really age of Kali, aside from those who want to create their own ways of doing things, is to intersperse around the material principles to be part of spiritual practice. Um, Wanting material desires results in emotional surge. Like, I want to be happy. That's a material desire. But Krishna consciousness is the process of becoming happy. But one should not try to become happy, but one should try to preserve the one's service, one will automatically. That's the nature of emotional service. It takes one's consciousness above through this material energy. And one will feel satisfied. If one wants good health, one wants peace of mind, one wants to gain material things like money, position, all of these things are material energy that somehow filters into, pure religious principles and makes it somewhat karma vision bhakti, jnana vision bhakti, or in other words, mixed with self-desire. Therefore, one cannot feel real pleasure that comes by way of emotional service. So, therefore, we find that if you do a little, reconnaissance, you might say, or a little research, you find that most religions, especially in Kali Yuga, always promise their followers some material benefits from the practice of their spiritual life, religious life. Because otherwise, one comes. But Prabhupada wasn't like that. I'm giving you the real thing, devotion to Krishna. This is who you are. You're Surupai, Krishna Nitya. And ultimately, your happiness is to develop your love for Krishna because that's who you are. And that is your nature and your quality. So, and Prabhupada had to, deal with all of that. And we say, ideas that came into our society to water it down. And he remained fixed in the process. And so that's very much pervades this age. People want to interject some ideas within spiritual life to facilitate some material desires. Or even to want liberation is another feature of material desire. Prabhupada explains that if you're engaged in devotional service, you really are a believer. It doesn't have to be cultivated separately, but there are people who do that. They want to be free from all material sufferings, and therefore they practice the process of Krishna consciousness accordingly. But they're not practicing up to the standard. They're practicing the activities, but not in the proper order. So what is that proper order? Ayavila Siddhi Suni Dhyana Mahalavata. Anukulanam Shinasila Bhakti. That devotional service has to be free from any desire, gain, or any desire for material gain, or any desire for philosophical speculation upon the things of nature. No karma, no jnana, and it has to be with a desire to please Krishna. Swami gives that clear understanding. That's also mentioned survive yourself for no doubt. The Doba Eros and Jehoiaki Priyata. Devotional service is the foundation of the activities in business. And the service has to be executed. Ahoitaki Priyata. Now people think, oh, that's too much. How is it possible? Ahoitaki Priyata. That means uninterrupted or and without any personal motivation. Well, getting rid of personal motivations may be a little bit more developed, more easy than, avoiding without stop it 24/7. But if you practice Krishna consciousness, it becomes easy. The one feature that allows one to always be in that mood is to always remember Krishna. So we're always remembering Krishna, no matter what activities we may also perform. And the easiest way to remember Krishna is by chanting his holy name. One can chant anytime, any place, anywhere. There's no rules, restrictions. Nitya Sarva Shaktis and all of Krishna's energies are there within his name. So the process is quite, as Prabhupada said, process of Krishna consciousness is simple, but it's not easy. What do you mean by not easy? It means that you have to work at it. It's an endeavor. It has to be applied every minute of every day in such a way that one is moving always towards the goal. What is that? To ultimately develop love for Krishna. And that move comes by following the simple principles of engaging in devotional service with a desire to please the spiritual master, the desire to please the Vaishnavas, the desire to please the Lord. And so that's rare in this age of Kali, very rare. You don't find that even the traditions that started off in pure devotional service, uh, somehow or other over the time period, they also allow for material principles to come in because they say, otherwise people will not come. For instance, Christianity, as it started off, was some went of pure devotion, so simply developing love for the Supreme Lord. But gradually, it became infiltrated by political and social movements. Many of the basic principles were adjusted in order to facilitate people at a certain time and place. We have to be careful enough not to allow here. Well, once it stays strict, chant the 16 rounds followed forming the principles as the foundation by which we continue to make progress. These things are, although they're very basic and seem to be quite routine, they are really strong in developing our Christian consciousness. And one of the definitions of no gambling is that means no mental speculation. Prabhupada writes that and he says, do not gambling, it's because of speculative gambling. Also, that means creating your own ideas. If a Rupa Goswami gives the formula, it's that one has to become sadhavriti. Sadhavriti means following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. And there's two categories of that for the Grihasthas and for those who are outside of that, in other words, the sannyasis and brahmachari. There are principles that apply to both. Same process is there, devotion. So how the devotion is executed is according to one's ashram. There are some slight deviations. Not slight, not deviations, slight adjustments there. And so we follow that, it becomes very easy. Therefore, we have to read Prabhupada books and hear from Prabhupada regularly. Because if we don't, we will lose that understanding of what is the foundation for devotion and service. It's important to hear regularly. Therefore, it's Nasta Prayesha Relation Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Hitamasuke Bhakti Bhagavati Nice. Hearing regularly from Srimad Bhagavatam and engaging in devotional service. These are the foundations by which one stays steady in devotional service. That knowledge is cuts through all of the illusion. And if we continue to remain fixed in hearing from Srila Prabhupada or those who are referencing Prabhupada, we should also always hear from Prabhupada. And not that Prabhupada is gone, therefore we can just hear from someone else, that's fine, as long as we hear from the voice of the representative. But the hear from Prabhupada directly has a certain element to it that we just, it's so powerful. It wakens immediately realization of like here. Big Brahma speaks not from theory, but from realization. So it's important to read these books, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, attend classes, and also uh, hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. So very uh, direct, getting the mercy of the personality of God. Okay, so in this particular verse, we get a feed, we get a little indication of what the ancient kali. The ancient kali is to concoct, change, adjust, and think that one has to do these things because uh, everything, what happened in the past is the past, now it's the present is different from the past. So adjusting. But there is sometimes adjustments made, and that's done by the adjustments, including the sideways and servers. It's like Prabhupada made a few adjustments in order to preach in the West. But he never adjusted the principles, he adjusted details, which allow for the principles to be applied in that environment. For instance, he allowed women to live in the temple and to worship on the same level as the men, which was not done in India. Women were not generally living in the temple, they would come take part of the activities outside. And when Prabhupada saw that the culture and the mindset, the Western mentality was much different, therefore he gave and of course, you also quoted Shastras to support what he's making equal status as far as the principle of worship to both men. And that was he was criticized. Prabhupada had to undergo so much criticism, both within and from without. But he understood clearly what is the process of promotion and service, and he heard clearly from his spiritual master. And he also said, in order to spread this movement, I had to walk through fire. He says that. He said, I didn't look left, I didn't look right, I looked straight ahead. But he understood what Christian wanted, and he was able to apply it in the most amazing way. So this movement, in one sense, is a miracle being to come. Prabhupada took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, applied it in the most amazing way. And because of his purity and his determination and his great intelligence, he was able to were able to continue spreading Krishna consciousness. It's difficult days, but we're all challenged by religious principles, by watered down and careful, but watered down religious principles. We should be very careful and stay strict here from Shiva Prabhupada. And there'll always be happening in Shiva consciousness. Because there's a lot of deviations coming in, trying to come in and water things down. So have to be careful of that. And therefore everything is there for us. Okay, so we have about 7 or 8 minutes left. What is this? It's a little muffled. Only microphone.
I do have a question. You speak about material desires like peace of mind, happiness, freedom from pain, disease, suffering. These are
Liberation.
yeah. I didn't go there. I just kept myself circumscribed to it. So this is counterindicated that when he is sick or suffering from mental illness, we should not pray because this is not your desire. Anyone can question it on his swallow.
That's not indicated by what I said. I said, if
My
that,
question. That, it can
oh, from people online, the question is that when people become ill in our Christian consciousness, we should not pray for that. Return state. No, because he would show Srila Prabhupada gave uh, first of an example. He when devotee was sick, she had traveled with Prabhupada to India, and Prabhupada came back to Europe, his friends. And when she landed and then taken to the hospital, she was, quite sick. So when Prabhupada came in, and you know, he gave a few, the devotees approved and we spoke and said, if that sister is very sick, we should all go to the hospital and see her. And Prabhupada also was this time in Maya, one devotee named Baba, during the Guru Puja, the devotees were saying that the prayers to the spiritual master, and Prabhupada was receiving the worship, and devotees were offering flowers going up. One devotee came to Prabhupada, and he was all over Prabhupada. When Prabhupada noticed he had a cut on his leg. So he called him over. This is right in the middle of the room. He said, are you kidding? Are you treating that? Medicine for that? And he was a little surprised. Prabhupada didn't ask him that. He said, oh, yeah, yes. Prabhupada could see that he wasn't taking care of her. So he turned to his secretary was sitting there, and he said, give me a pencil and paper. He wrote down some medicine and handed it to him. Prabhupada was all very concerned that devotees keep good health. And if anybody was sick, you could help. I think the best help devotee is sick is to give them some time. In other words, go see them, not just follow sick. We should go talk about it well again. Sometimes everything we say, well, the old day was if you're sick, you're in Maya, therefore this is the result being in Maya. But that's not really consciousness, nor is not what Srila Prabhupada taught us. So the idea is the devotees of concerned, the whole world is to preach for the benefit of others, so we don't take care of our own devotees. And what's the question of preaching to the non-devotees? So, yeah, if someone has some trouble, physical ailments, if I find out something, I try to offer some medicine. Sometimes even nowadays, devotees, when they get sick, everybody's offering medicine. Some of the kind of leave somehow. Sometimes the devotee gets sick. So yeah, we should always consider to if we have trouble with our spiritual practice, we should try to offer some help. We have people need something, and say they need some financial support or struggling, they can't keep their Krishna consciousness themselves because that becomes a alleviation. We can also help with that. So this is a society is family. It's not just a bunch of individuals together to do whatever one all the same thing. It's the family group I said we should be very much considered and then develop loving, friendly relationships with devotees accordingly. It's natural. So yeah, there's many examples of that. That was the old Buddha, because not the old Buddha, that was the beginning, the misunderstanding it was implied in the beginning that someone got sick. And so we're doing by other. Yeah, Krishna.
Question is, I'm so sorry I came in the class. Sorry I came in the class, but I heard you saying about desires, and we should not have these desires. But now in this material world, it's so difficult. Even being a Krishna conscious person, trying not to have desires or to desire, someone to be well or how can we go about besides chanting the holy name?
Well,
Can you repeat the question?
yeah, so the question is, living in this material world, we're faced with so many activities that we have to take care of that. So we develop a certain desire, right? So how do we deal with it? Well, to Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he also says one who is regular in eating, sleeping, working, and recreation can perform the yoga system. So taking care of one's responsibilities, like if you're brahmachari, you have less needs on the material than those who live a stay-at-home life, who have family, children, maybe have some occupation if not as important. But that's just an activity that we have. It's not that we do it in order to get some happiness. It's just necessary. So we have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to take care of our health. We have responsibilities with family members. That's all of that's there. That's not a material desire. It becomes a material desire, it becomes more important to our spiritual life. But it should be side by side. We keep our spiritual life as the foundation for everything we do, and we use religious principles or spiritual principles to act in order to fulfill our needs on the material level. The idea is to desire Krishna consciousness and take care of business at the same time. It's just like you just have to take care of your material needs. But we're not trying to get some enjoyment. Just do it. It's like, well, you have to you have to stay clean. So you take a shower, right? You can't say, well, taking care of getting clean is a material thing or it's based on the body. No. It's based on living according to the that is you see that the total power, yeah.